And now John Collins is gone. What have the Jazz done, and what are we embarking upon? Next on Locked on Jazz.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I am David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps and on YouTube. And to the everydayers, you're the best. Everybody said hi at Summer League. Love it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you taking the time and do greatly appreciate you tuning in. All right, what do we got today? We'll review last night's super fun game at Huntsman Center. Ace Bailey shines. Brice Sensabaugh record setting. Walt Clayton shows a lot of bounce back. So a lot of good stuff there. We'll look at the Jazz trade of John Collins, where we sit today, and what happens with Lauri Markkanen as well, and address the questions you have of what is this team? Did the Jazz blow it? Why are we getting no value for our players? We'll try to break that down for you, all coming up on today's edition of Locked on Jazz, which is brought to you in part by FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Locked on. FanDuel, right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So the Jazz traded John Collins yesterday. In exchange, the Jazz get Kyle Anderson, Kevin Love, and a second-round pick. Let's start there. Kevin Love, we'll see. He did at some point in time, I think, have a house in Park City, Utah. But I think this is not the team if he's going to continue to play. I think he wants to be probably on a roster where he has the opportunity to be on a winning team, and this roster does not look to be that. Kyle Anderson is a good vet, and I think Kyle Anderson, who has a relationship with Will Hardy from San Antonio, will probably stay on the roster and will be kind of the Patty Mills of last year's roster for the Jazz. And the second-round pick is a second-round pick. Norm Powell went to Miami. John Collins went to the Clippers. So, once again, the Jazz trade one of their pieces we've talked about trading for 2-3 years and get almost nothing. I mean, truthfully, they cleared space. They cleared the ramp. That's what the intention was. But just in regards to value back, John Collins, who last year had a monster year of 19 points and 8 rebounds a game, he was a 50, 40, 85 guy, and the Jazz get almost nothing in return. What's interesting to this is that I think this is the third player, Sexton, Clarkson, and Collins, where the Jazz get nothing back. It shows that acquiring a player, and Clarkson might be a little different, but not a lot, who has, for whatever reason at that stage in their life, little value on the NBA trade market, whether it's salary size to performance, whatever the reason, because Colin Sexton and John Collins are good. But rehabbing them on a team that doesn't win games does not seem to be possible. The league was not moved by Colin Sexton and John Collins' numbers. Both of them highly efficient offensive numbers on a team that lost a lot of games, and the league was not moved by that. So that's the first level. The second thing that's happened here that's kind of esoteric and boring is that the mid-level contract, which used to be so important to aggregate into bigger deals, right now seems almost impossible to move. I mean, the other side of this deal, by the way, is that Miami just got Norman Powell, who last year I thought should have been an all-star for the way he carried the Clippers in the first half of the season and averaged 22 points last year, shooting 42% from three and 48% on a team that won 50 games when Kawhi Leonard barely played. They gave up Kyle Anderson, Kevin Love, and a second-round draft pick to get him. I mean, Norman Powell is way better than Colin Sexton, and there wasn't a lot of value for him. In fact, there's been almost no value for any mid-level contract. Colin Sexton, John Collins, Norman Powell, Trey Mann, Anthony Simons, that has been moved this offseason. The movement of that mid-level player, mid-level contract as a solo entity, the only one that got some value is whatever you feel about the Michael Porter Jr. Cam Johnson deal. So this is this marketplace is just wildly different than what we've ever seen before. And then Ainge said it in his opening press conference, the expiring contract is not a value. In fact, John Collins and Norman Powell both get moved partially here because they're free agents who the team doesn't want to re-sign. The Clippers and Norman Powell reportedly had contract extension talks that didn't go well. And so the Clippers move on. Now they also may be getting Bradley Beal. The Jazz didn't want to sign John Collins, and John Collins is great. And so this is not a criticism of John Collins at all. But if I am John Collins and I'm going to be a free agent next year and I don't get an extension, I am hoarding all shots and all rebounds. That's the way the game works. We didn't want that. So there's just a marketplace right now that is crazy different. The first question I think that every Jazz fan is asking is, did the Jazz blow it? Did they miss a window? Did they blow it? So here's what's interesting. One is, if we actually just take the value by which the Jazz took their players, got their players, they virtually got the value back. So the Jazz traded Dante Exum for Jordan Clarkson back in 2019. The Jazz had to put 2 or 3 second-round draft picks with Exum to get Clarkson. And the Jazz had Clarkson for 6 years, and then they waived him. I'd say, and Dante didn't, they didn't give up a lot. Dante didn't have any value at that point. And he was out of the league shortly thereafter to Europe. He's back now, which is great. So they didn't, and they got 6 years out of Jordan. Colin Sexton was coming off an injury and was really salary stuffing on that deal. Cleveland was trying to move him. Darius Garland was their future. He had no value. And John Collins' deal's crazy because John Collins is good. But the Jazz got John Collins for free. They gave up Rudy Gay and a second-round draft pick that will probably never convey. It's next year's 2026. And if it does, it's like Memphis's. So they actually just got a second-round pick back for John Collins, which is exactly what they kind of sort of gave up, but not even really. So as much as we're talking about a changing marketplace, the bigger story might be that trying to take a player's value on a team that's not winning and increase it by having them put up big numbers and get opportunity did not work. If that was the plan, that did not work. So I think that's sorry, I'm looking at my notes to see what I had down. So I think that's, there's 2 takeaways here. The market is harsh. The Jazz didn't get anything for any of these 3 guys. The Jazz got these 3 guys for almost nothing. And so if the plan was to try to rehab their value, for Clarkson, we got value at 6 years. On the other guys, that did not work. I'm not sure that was the plan. The question, a little bit that I have, was there any window here where the Jazz could have done what they've done this offseason earlier and gotten some value? I think the answer is no. Because I don't think that the threshold to trade John Collins in either the last 2 trade deadlines or last offseason was particularly high. Same thing with Colin. We weren't holding on to them for some reason, I don't think. And so I don't have a feeling that the Jazz bypass. I don't know, but I don't have the feeling that the Jazz bypass some first round, certainly not a first round pick, or multiple seconds. If they did, they may have cost themselves a second. There is one other question that I have on whether or not how the Jazz approaches and whether it should have been done differently. I'll bring that up next, address where we are, and what does this mean for Lauri Markkanen? All those coming up as we continue on Locked On Jazz. Tuesday edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by my friends over at Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. The Murdochs have been in Utah for over 85 years. Hyundai, well, you ready for the list? It's obnoxious. Santa Fe, Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, Genesis GV60. We've bought 5 cars in the 8 years the Hyundais that Murdochs have done sponsorships with us. So either one of two things. They're keeping the sponsorship deal with us solely because I just keep buying cars. Or two, now, by the way, one was for my dad, one was for each kid. So it's not like I bought 5 cars. One was for my wife, one was for me. But I also think that tells you that this sponsorship is, I've done the research. I found that for the Hyundai, I get the most bang for my buck. I get the most safety features. I get the best customer service work numbers or whatever for like safety and all those features and the best value. So for me, it's been a no-brainer each and every time that's the right car to buy. I'm driving the new Santa Fe and love it. If you're looking for a car right now, put Hyundai on the market or put Hyundai on your list and let me set up a VIP meeting with you. Email me at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com. And let me know what location, Linden, Logan, or 4646 South State Street, and we'll get you that VIP experience over at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. You can get into the action this summer with FanDuel. Great deal of fun. Add to it while other people are suntanning on the beach and just boring. You can live it up with the WNBA, Major League Baseball, whether it's maybe a little Wimbledon or Tour de France, whatever it might be, high-stakes soccer. You can follow the action and make it a little bit more thrilling with FanDuel. Get into the game while your friends are twiddling their thumbs. As you're using FanDuel to track your favorite matchups, the app keeps it fresh. Fast payouts makes it regular season games, watch events. Whether you're placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you're part of the action. So new to FanDuel, new customers get a $5 bet. They win, and you win $150 in bonus bets when your first bet wins. Open up the new FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com to get started and get into the action every day. A lot of fun. Tuesdays. Today, Taco Tuesdays, Mariners, Yankees are the headliner. Will Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge hit home runs? Will Logan Gilbert get 6+ strikeouts? Also, some fun matchups on Wimbledon and what you think might be going on with all those matchups as Sinner and Shelton, Djokovic still out there, Alcaraz out there as well. So lots of fun going on at FanDuel.com. So where the Jazz sit today is where the question I had all last year is, could have we sat there last year? Now, we may not have had enough players. But in the midst of this rebuild, last year, I enviously watched Washington, who was doing the similar thing to what we were doing, but without some of the shenanigans, right? Bilal Coulibaly, Bob Carrington, Jordan Poole, they had Kyle Kuzma, Alex Sarr. They played those guys. I think, if I remember correctly, they played Corey Kispert, Keyonte George. I know I'm trying to think of who else was on that roster. Malcolm Brogdon, they had to kind of hide a little bit. They had Colby Jones. They got Chris Middleton at the end. But they basically had a roster of young players, and they rolled them out there, and it didn't feel messy. And I remember talking to Thurl, wondering, like, could have we done this? Should have we just moved on from the guys we thought we could get value from last year instead of having some of the awkwardness. And that's the one question I have. Could have this all been, if we weren't going to get value for John Collins and we weren't going to get value for Jordan Clarkson, we weren't going to get value for Colin Sexton, when we went big game hunting last summer and then didn't get it, was there enough time to make the pivot then? This pivot right now. I'm not sure we had enough players, right? Because where we are now with the deck clear, I think we have a 9-man rotation next year with your point guards being Collier and Clayton, your shooting guards being George and Sensabaugh, your small forwards being Bailey and Cody Williams, and a 3-man rotation between Lauri Markkanen, Kyle Filipowski, and Walker Kessler. And that is your 9-man rotation next year. I don't know if, we'll have 15 guys on the roster. You've got Kyle Anderson. You've got Yusuf Nurkic. You've got Svi Mykhailiuk. I don't know that we, we'll see what else we get. Drew Eubanks actually is available, so I don't know whether we'd add him back to the roster. He was such a great vet to have around last year. I don't think he signed anywhere else. I know the Clippers released him. But I think that's the 9-man rotation. We didn't quite have the guys to do that last year, right? And I think that's where maybe my argument falls apart. There wasn't a case last year where you look at the Jazz players and you think to yourself, oh, wait, I forgot Taylor Hendricks in that, by the way. I forgot Taylor Hendricks. So there's your 10-man rotation. It's a 10-man rotation. It's those 10 guys. There's no doubt. I just forgot Taylor Hendricks. Sorry. Collier, Clayton, Keyonte, Sensabaugh, Bailey, Cody Williams, Lauri Markkanen, Taylor Hendricks, Walker Kessler, Kyle Filipowski. That's your 10 guys. That's what we're doing. It's clean. The question I had on last year is, I don't know, as I'm asking whether we could have done this a year earlier. So Keyonte played 32 minutes a night. Walker played 30. Isaiah Collier played 26. Cody played 50 games, played 21 minutes. Kyle played 21 minutes a night. Sensabaugh played 20 minutes a night. I don't think any of those guys left the year being short shifted. So I'm not sure that it was actually necessary. It would have been cleaner, but I'm not sure it's necessary. So this is where we sit now. I'm so curious on what your emotion and feeling toward this is. I will share with you that part of me is refreshed. So the over-under on some of the places has come out, and it's one of the lowest over-under win totals by a team in an NBA season in a long time. Fine. To Austin Ainge's point in his press conference, we are going to play to win every night and try to instill hope. I'm refreshed. It's clean. I know exactly what's going on. We're going to play as hard as we can every night, and the young guys are going to try, and they're going to be outmatched a lot of times. But we're going to get to watch Ace Bailey, who's oozing with talent. We're going to watch Keyonte George hopefully show maturity in his third year in the NBA and come together. We're going to see whether the Brice Sensabaugh we'll talk about here in Summer League is good. And we get to watch Taylor Hendricks grow up. I'm pretty excited for this. It's super clean. I know what I'm rooting for. I know exactly what I'm watching. And I think it's going to be a super fun season. And it's 10 guys that are all, other than Lauri, super young. Which now gets to the question of what about Lauri? So if Lauri can handle it, which is going to be the question, I think, and I know the league is going to vulture around Lauri. It should. But I actually think keeping Lauri makes all the sense in the world. One, you've got to have some semblance of order here of somebody. Lauri's an unbelievable teammate and wildly skilled. And the hope of what you're playing here is that while the young players are under some level of cost control, Keyonte, Ace Bailey, all of them, they're under some level of cost control, that some of them pop. And obviously we're going to be adding another one next year. But that somebody pops, that Ace Bailey pops, looks like he could, that Keyonte George in his third year becomes really good. Those are probably the two biggest hopes. Because if they pop and suddenly you have something, then you use the trade exception that we just got in the John Collins trade to try to fill in that gap. The trade exception, I've kind of decided that I'm not going to try to bore you to death with all the details on it. It does have a chance to have some real value. It's pretty big. It's $26 million. You can slide anything into it, and you've got 12 months to do it. And the way they did it by being in July 8th, they get this free agency. So there is a chance that you can get that. That trade exception could turn into something. In fact, the trade exception, we'll see, is more valuable than anything in any of the John Collins transactions as of this point. The John Collins for Rudy Gay in the second round, that trade exception is the most valuable piece that's moved. We'll see whether they can do something with it and whether the timing's right. Because if nobody pops this year, then the timing's not right. We need one or two players to pop under cost control, and that's where Lauri becomes really valuable. Lauri's contract and the new deal is a little funky when you start talking about roster building. And I think it actually works best for the Utah Jazz. I'll explain next on Locked On Jazz. To tell you I'm certain on this would probably be untrue because I'm not entirely certain we're certain on anything that's going on in the NBA right now. But Lauri's probably the third best player on a championship team. The second best player on a really good team, the third best player on a championship team. And Lauri's contract at $46 million next year, $49 the year after that, and $53 the year after that is probably too much for a third best player on a championship team under the new collective bargaining agreement. The way I'm looking at it. The way I watched last year were the two best players on all the best teams had $85 million or less. And then the next, when you took the next one, it was like 110, and then they were able to have depth. Lauri at 46, 49, and 53 feels high. However, for the Utah Jazz, it might not be. I don't know when. It's certainly not 25, 26 season that we think we're clicking in here. Lauri's at 46 next year, then 46 for each next year's. But the model we're playing with right now is you're developing the young players in this youth movement. And then if one of them pops, so let's say Keyonte moves into a top 100 player, Walker's a rotation player, Ace Bailey is coming into his own, and it is Jason Tatum. Not crazy. He's really could be really good. And you have these pieces that are now happening. And you have Lauri, you're better. You now can bring things on top of this. And the fact that Lauri's contract might be too much. He's your third best player, but Ace Bailey's your second best player. And the Ace Bailey's now your second best player, but Ace Bailey's under cost control. And the fact that Lauri's making 46, 49, or 53 is actually fine. You put him on Minnesota, it's probably not fine with Anthony Edwards and what other contracts you actually have on that roster. You put him on the Knicks, it's probably not fine with Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. But if you have Lauri, maybe a little overpaid for your third best player, but because one of your first one or two players is cost controlled, then it's okay in your roster building. So I actually would argue that Lauri's contract is best for the Jazz. So the question is whether Lauri can handle this. And he's been great so far. But I think that's this Lauri, there'll be people circling for Lauri, but I actually think Lauri's contract's going to be hard. Like if you're the Warriors and you're going to try to put him with Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and he's going to be a third best player, that you're now overpaying. You can't, I don't think that's good roster management. That's too much money. They already have a problem. Frankly, the Warriors do that. They're paying Steph and Jimmy Butler a combined $110 million next year. That's too much. You add in Lauri, it's $160 million. That's a problem. I don't know how the Lakers would do it, but just an example, the Lakers are at $100 million in their top two players. You add in Lauri, you're at $140, your top three. I don't think you can build a roster. Denver, I don't think has room to do these things, but Denver's got the same problem. They're at 101 million in their top player, and then now they'll be better. They'll be at 121 in their two, and they'll be able to add Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway, and all these other. They've gotten that to be straightened out, but they'd be at 140. So if you start just running down teams that are looking to win, trying to add Lauri to those teams, I think is very complicated to them. But for the Jazz, I actually think his roster fits pretty well. All right, let's go to last night's game. That was super fun. And Ace Bailey was really good. All right, here are my three favorite things about Ace Bailey. The Jazz ran an off-ball screen to him where he came off the ball, tight curled in the lane. He got it. He was going to turn the corner and dunk it. Someone reached in and fouled him. He showed the ball too much. He'll develop that. That is a real weapon. If you can bring him off ball on a pin down and he can tight curl or pop out for a three with that quick release, that's really a weapon. Number two, he took a movement, quick three, right corner, catch, shoot, let it go. No drop, no dip, no nothing. It was pretty awesome. My favorite play of the night, Ron Boone and I are talking last night during the game about how Ace Bailey's this is quite an adjustment for him. He scored 30 points a game in high school. He got the ball every time at Rutgers. He got up and down the floor on 3 straight possessions without touching the ball, was just going to the corner. And we missed a shot on the left side, and Ace Bailey soared in, went and got the rebound, turned around back and dunked it. Now, the athleticism to go get the rebound was ridiculous, but what was better was that he maintained the energy level on it where he'd gone up and down the floor 3 times without touching the ball and stayed engaged in the game and found a way to impact the game rather than just sitting in the corner. Now, the fact that he also has the athleticism to make the play, turn around and dunk it is pretty awesome. His defense late in the game was not good. GG beat him. Somebody else beat him. Fine. I mean, he's not going to be perfect. But there is a chance the Jazz really have something here. I don't want to get too out of control on the Ace Bailey talk, but he oozes with talent. And I think it's going to be super fun to watch him this year figure it out. And if he can continue to have that energy and play at that level where he's making plays for himself, that's pretty cool. Brice Sensabaugh, I made the comment yesterday that I wasn't as in love with his performance as everyone else was. He hit 5-8 from 3. I already knew he was a good shooter. He's now 11 of 17 from 3, which is a little ridiculous. It's pretty awesome. And I actually felt the exact same way about his first half. He had a bunch of turnovers. He made some mistakes. He did this, and he was scoring, and I just wished he would. It was a play where he threw the ball. He came up the sideline. He threw the ball away, thought he was fouled, turned to argue with the official. Therefore, he wasn't back in the play where after his turnover, they were coming back down the other way. He was late to react. He ended up fouling someone. And it was just like, oh, come on. And I said yesterday on the show, for whatever reason, I just have a big heart soft spot for Brice. And I think I probably hold him to a higher standard because I'm rooting for him. But he's got this skill that is just incredible in the shooting. He's got a chance to make a long-time NBA career. Well, 37 by the end of the night. Like, geez, Louise. And that's what he should be doing. And that was pretty awesome. Like, yeah, there can be a few turnovers and a few this and that, but at some point when you're dropping 37 and just dominating the game offensively, way to go. We're not going to nitpick that. By the way, one other thing on Ace Bailey, his open floor handle, bringing the ball up the floor, he shook GG Jackson a few times and really showed some pretty good handle skills. I mean, this is a piece of clay that is going to be awesome to work with for the Jazz coaching staff. I don't know which coach is going to get him, and who's going to work with him, whether it's going to be Mike or Drew or Chris or who it's going to be. But boy, that is going to be something else because there's a lot to work with there. I mean, there really truly is some Tracy McGrady, Jason Tatum. I don't want to go KD's the greatest offensive player ever, but like the ability to get to his spot at the free throw line and hit that jumper the other night for Bailey, what we're seeing, it's pretty awesome. 2 other guys last night. Cody Williams had 18 points last night, 2 rebounds, no assists. So the other part of his game, his handle still doesn't let him do as much as he wants to do, but his size has changed it. There was a drive he had to the basket on the right side. Now, this might be a summer league drive instead of an NBA drive, but he drove to the basket. He outstretched his right hand. He got it to the rack. He put it off the window and he scored it. That exact same play he tried a tremendous amount of times early And because he was so weak, his angle would get pushed away from the basket, and he'd be falling away from the basket trying to twist his right arm in. And so this time, instead, he stayed on line to the basket. And while he outstretched his arm around the defender, he was now strong enough with his 20 new pounds and upper body, and he's still got a long way to go, but he was able to hold off the defender and get that shot off. He was also able to drive left-handed a few times, make the contact, and go to the free throw line. So I thought Cody was really much improved last night. And then the final piece of the puzzle was I thought we saw a lot out of Walt Clayton, because that was a brutal first half for Walt Clayton, a brutal first half. And he bounced back and actually closed the game and showed that tenacity in the winner and went from like 1 assist to 6 in a blink of an eye, hit a big three, had a welcome to the NBA moment where he tried a step back three and G.G. Jackson blocked it, didn't seem phased, and just kept playing. I thought that was impressive insight to who Walt Clayton Jr. is for the Jazz. All right, Thunder game today. Jazz look to win the Summer League. They're up 2-0. Super fun night. We'll wrap it, and then we head to Vegas on the Jazz head to Vegas on Thursday, and they'll play Friday and Sunday. I may head out to those games. Sounds like I'm as of right now. We will see. Just to go and see it. Jazz tonight against the Thunder, 7 o'clock. Hope you can come out to Huntsman Center. If you do, please stop by and say hi. In the meantime, we send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked On NBA Plus. Check out Locked On NBA every night, covering every game, every action. It's all on Locked On NBA.